18-year-old kid that I was, it was a lot to take in. I remember because I wasn't sure what was going on. I mean, they don't tell you anything. It's your turn. Come up. Okay, you take off your clothes, turn around, bend over, cough, lift this leg. I took a vision test naked.
This is Jim Bratton Podcast, a podcast exploring his personal interests, interviews with artists and musicians, as well as other creators, an opinion or two, or more, poetry and prose, ambient sound, binaural and ASMR, audio produced for meditation and relaxation, experimental sound or music, and those exploring aesthetic boundaries. You may enjoy some, or all, or none. Now, here's Jim.
Well, this is episode 5 of Locked Up. We're talking to Robert Serna. Today we're going to talk about the medical system, correct?
That's correct.
Robert, thank you very, very much for doing this with me. And thank all of you for listening, by the way. Robert, so tell me about, let's just start. We tried to just walk this through from a first-person basis.
Sure.
Let's do that again this time, and we'll spend about 10 or 11 minutes just talking about how you encountered the medical system, what happened, and just the whole thing. Walk me through. Your first persons are so good. Let's just walk through it.
I mean, the initial contact with any medical issue in TDC was always pretty simple. I mean, when we first get there, obviously they do a series of medical tests,
Right.
blood work, that kind of stuff to kind of get a general overall idea of your health in that moment.
So this is let's take this, you arrived at...
It was the day after. So for the first 2 or 3 days in TDC at the intake facility, you're getting tests run, medical tests, you're getting IQ tests, you're getting mental health checks, that kind of stuff. They're like I said, in those first 3 days, they're genuinely trying to figure out what type of inmate you might be.
Now, you said this is as you start with TDC.
Yeah.
Give me a location after your sentencing. Where does this play?
So this was at Gurney unit. This is after I caught the chain from the county.
Okay.
Like I said, we show up. They put you in a tank or a dorm full of bunk beds, and that's where you're living. The following morning, you start what they call intake procedures.
This is the tank, the dormitory with a potty in the side of the room.
Yes.
Open stainless
Open
steel.
showers. Yes.
Open showers, everything.
And so the next day you go to medical, and like I said, blood work. I mean, they're going to make you bend over and spread your cheeks, check for hemorrhoids. I mean, it's a pretty thorough medical examination in that moment. And, being an 18-year-old kid that I was, it was a lot to take in. I remember because I wasn't sure what was going on. I mean, they don't tell you anything. It's your turn. Come up. Okay, you take off your clothes, turn around, bend over, cough. Lift this leg. Take I took a vision test naked. Because it's going so fast, and they're moving so many people through.
So once you take your clothes off, they stay off.
Not until you're done. That's pretty much, yeah. Now they did after the vision test. They did let me put your underwear back on, but for the rest of until you leave, you're in your underwear. It was just like I said, not necessarily scary. That's the wrong word. It was just uncomfortable.
Do you think that's intentionally dehumanizing, or is it just a matter of efficiency?
Efficiency. I don't think they put that much thought into it, and I also don't think that they're that creative. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Though sadistic, it would take a level of creativity to really come up with, let's leave them naked while we check their eyes. I think it was just they put.
Let's save a step.
Yes, there's no reason to make them get dressed and then get undressed again. But like I said, after the eye test, they put my boxers back on, and then like I said, blood work, sugar test. Man, they checked everything.
As an 18-year-old, for a lot of these folks, particularly younger ones, that might have been the first physical they've ever had in their entire life.
That was the first one where I got one, completely naked. That's for sure. I mean, we got to play sports and stuff, but your kids kept their underwear on, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But I also understand why they had to do it. I mean, you've got AIDS, hepatitis running through those places. You've got God forbid someone didn't know they had a hemorrhoid, and the next thing you know, they got major issues from it. That kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Someone could not know they're diabetic and not tell them they're diabetic, and next thing you know, you've got a dead inmate sitting on the side. So I think that this whole process, though odd and strange to me as a kid, I do think that that's them genuinely trying to get an assessment of your health because they need to make sure that you stay healthy. that might be the only caring part of the healthcare system in TDC from my experience. Everything else was pass the buck, avoid care as much as we can. But in those moments, I did genuinely feel like they cared about what we had going on physically.
Do you think that is a matter of being afraid they might lose an asset?
No, it's, I mean,
Is there actually an humanitarian?
I think in that moment, yes. I think there was a lot of. I think people genuinely cared. The nurses were very kind. They were
That was my
polite.
next question: is the caregivers? How
They were very in that process. They were very kind and very, like I said, understanding. They genuinely. I do believe in those moments they were trying to make. They were genuinely concerned about our health. And regardless of what their reasons were, it came across sincere in those moments. So I can
Right.
appreciate it. You know what I mean?
That was on sort of induction.
Yes.
After that physical, how long did the physical take, by the way?
So everything in TDC is a half a day. Nothing you ever do is going to take less than from breakfast to lunch or from lunch to dinner. That's just the way it's
And
going
that's
to
the
go.
way the days are segmented?
Yes. And so you're going to be there. I got there at 6 a.m. right after breakfast. And then I was there for, I think I left right at lunch and then I was done. I mean, but a lot of that was just sitting and waiting.
Where did you go? Okay, put your clothes back on. And then where?
You go sit out in the waiting. They have a waiting cage, and you go sit out in the cage for a little bit. And it's lunchtime. All right, now you go to the chow hall. Go back to your dorm.
All these cages that you speak of. Many of us have now seen the news reports of the alligator or crocodile prison, whatever it is,
Yeah.
Florida thing, where they're actually wire mesh cages. Is that what they are?
A lot of them, and some of them are, obviously more permanent, more structurally sound. But I mean, essentially, it's a cage, just of various degrees of strength. You know what I mean? In the medical wing, the waiting cage was legitimately just a sectioned off part of the medical lobby that had benches in it, and there was the same stuff you saw on TV. I mean, it's chain link cages. You know what I mean?
How thorough were the psych evaluations?
Man, I don't agree. I think a lot of those the psych people are jaded, and they were everybody in there had to be mentally unstable in their mind.
They just figure everybody screwed up.
Yes, and they hand out diagnoses. As far as from my experience, they were handing out diagnoses left and right, and medicating people. And I think that goes back to the asset theory.
There you go. Yeah,
Yes.
keep you calm and maybe addicted, maybe fully medicated, but at least
Well, and they're getting more funding for it because you've got.
Absolutely.
I mean, we were talking about this earlier at breakfast that the dollars are what fuel all of this. The Texas prison system to me is a business. It was
Sure.
something that I was a worker or I was a piece of the puzzle, but it was purely. I mean, it ran like a Fortune 500 company.
yeah.
And so I think the psych eval, like I said, they were handing out diagnosis and handing out pills left and right. And I think a big part of that is because of funding. We have 30% of our inmates suffer from mental health. Well, let's give them some more money for mental health stuff. Did any extra mental health stuff happen? Probably not, but there was more funding. You know what I mean?
Follow the bouncing dollar.
It's always about the dollars. Like I said, as far as my perception of it, it always seemed like it was about money.
Wow. Sometimes I'm just stunned by these pauses, by the way. Those of you that are watching and listening are just because I'm dumbfounded sometimes.
And that's just the beginning, man. It gets
Walk
the
me
medical
through.
the medical system. So once that's done, you're pretty much on your own.
So you're in, and they've got you properly drugged.
If that's the case,
Or possibly,
just evaluated. They know what you have. That even if you didn't know it before, you're pretty well aware of what you've got.
Right,
and
right,
that kind of
right.
stuff. I mean, everything from AIDS tests to, like I said, blood sugar tests to physical strength tests. I mean, they're really trying to figure out what kind of health you're in.
Right,
And I was
right,
18, so I was in great shape. I was
Oh,
skinny
yeah,
as a
no,
rail,
you're
but
a
I
tough
was
guy, man.
I was healthy. And so, but after that, like I said, you're pretty much done. And so staph was a very common issue in TDC, staph infections. It was because it's a dirty place. I mean, it's a concrete and metal building, and unfortunately, not everybody has good hygiene. So you were
Move me through what was your first encounter with the health system, or one of your major observations of the health
the
system?
biggest. Well, I don't remember my first encounter because the first few months were kind of a blur. There was a lot happening,
I'm sure.
but I was involved in an altercation the day after my 19th birthday.
And you'd been in for how long?
When I landed in TDC March 28th, my 18th, my birthday is August 12th, so
Okay.
a few months. And in that time, I had accomplished nothing because on the intake. In the intake process, getting into school, getting into any kind of trade and stuff like that really isn't as easy as it sounds. I had No, actually, that's not accurate because I took a welding trade.
Okay.
They ended up canceling it right before I was able to finish the funding cuts, so they ended up canceling the program. But
But you were able to do at least some trade
Yes.
training during those first few months. Then.
Yes, and then I got into an altercation in the medical bay. Oddly enough, I was going to get checked out. I don't remember what I had done, but I got into an altercation,
Are you willing to share the altercation?
I don't remember what started it. I stepped over him. I remember the guy's name and everything and what he looked like, but I don't remember what. I remember stepping over him, and he said something to me, and I spun around and I said, I'm sorry, what? And when I said that, he hit me in the face, and it turned into a fight. We sat there and fought for a few minutes, and in that process, I had glasses on, and the nose piece of my glasses cut directly below my eyeball. If you look close enough, there's a scar, and
Yeah.
it's so I was bleeding, but we're fighting, and somewhere in there, I managed to grab him by the shirt, and when I grabbed him by the shirt, and as we kept fighting, I managed to get this finger caught, and when it got caught, it mangled it. I mean, I broke it in several different places, and we got pepper sprayed, which pepper spray in your cut eye is probably one of the most excruciating things
I
I've ever.
can't even imagine
I've
that.
literally broken bones, been cut open, and never experienced pain like pepper spray in a cut. It was absolutely terrible. But they handcuff us, and mind you, my hand is broken, and they slam me into a wall, and they said, "Are you injured?" And excuse my French, but I'm fucking bleeding,
Yeah, yeah.
And I said, "Yes, my face is bleeding, and I think my hand is broken." So they take me to the back, and they unhandcuff me, and they look at my hand, and my finger's twisted.
Going the wrong direction.
It's pretty, not like a dislocation. I mean, it's pretty mangled. It's hard to explain unless you saw it. It almost, I thought I was going to lose my finger. It just looked that bad. And so they got me in the medical, and they had my like this, and she said, "I'm going to go ahead and sew your eye because where that's up, we need to sew that." And I remember thinking, I don't know that you could sew it. It's right next to my eyeball. And that nurse says out loud to the other nurse, "I've never stitched so close to an eyeball before."
They said that
And
out loud.
Said it out loud.
And there
So
you are.
I
Your
said, "No,
eyeball.
stop." I said, "Stop. We're not doing this." I'm sorry. I said, "No, I refuse care. I'm not. I'm not." And I signed over. They made me sign a waiver because they have to cover their, cover their end.
Right.
But I asked them to just pack gauze into my eye and tape it. And I said, "No, it'll close." And I don't know. I said, "I'm telling you it'll close." And I didn't know that it would close.
No,
Obviously,
you just didn't want them to mess
I
with it.
just did not want, and that's how you know it's bad. The better option is the unknown. Like we're not going to
The
let
idea of losing an eye is better than
Yes.
having them suture.
And so it did, thankfully. Actually, you can probably, if you look close enough, you can probably see just below the eyelid. You see the line?
Yes, I can.
Yeah, it's that's how close it was. I mean, it was right there. But they forgot on all this. They forgot about my hand, and so
So you declined care,
Yeah.
and that was
and so they sent me to SAG, and and when you're in SAG, you don't have anything. So fortunately, I don't
SAG. Wait.
administrative SAG. When you get into a fight in a public area, they have to immediately segregate you,
Okay.
and they're going to investigate it for gang activity and that kind of thing.
Okay.
And this was in no way gang related. I don't honestly, that's how dumb it was. I don't even remember what happened in that moment. But I was in SEG for 7 or so days, and about a day or two in, I realized that they're not going to do anything about my hand. I'm constantly asking, and they're just not. There's no care. So I've got this finger that's, I mean, as you can see, it doesn't bend at this knuckle.
Yeah.
And I remember, okay, what am I going to do about this? So I found a popsicle stick, and I don't remember how I ended up. I don't remember if it was, I honestly can't remember where it came from, but biting down on a rolled up piece of sheet, I managed to straighten it out as best I could. Then I tied it with popsicle stick and the piece of the sheet, and I held it like that. I wore that for 3 weeks, I think, and then it came off, and I couldn't bend my finger at all at that point. It was stuck in place, and I was convinced that was how it was going to be, so I was forcing it to fold, for the next. So I don't know what it looks like now in an x-ray, but in my head, I can't imagine it looks good, you know what I mean? But that's kind of how healthcare goes there. Okay, we're going to treat you unless, you don't want it? Fine, you don't get any.
Yeah, that's right. You have signed off. You've declined
Yeah.
treatment. Period.
Go away. And so, like I said, I mean, that's part of it. I did actually. They sent me for an X-ray at one point, and to go get an X-ray, you can't get that done at your unit. They send you to a medical here in Galveston, oddly enough.
Right.
And so I was on a chain for a week, and I get to the unit before Galveston. It was the Ellis Unit 1 in Huntsville. So the next bus that I take should be to Galveston.
So you're like point-to-point bus?
Yeah.
You went from where to?
From Hondo all the way to Huntsville. It took 4 days of stopping at different units. But
it's one of the white buses that I see.
oh yeah,
Okay.
constant, and that's why you see them here a lot, because they're going to Galveston.
Right.
But for somebody, somehow they figured out that I had declined care. So I'm in Huntsville waiting, a day away from getting an X-ray, and they go, "Oh no, we're not going to do it." So they just ship me back. And that was it. Then they never addressed my hand ever again. It's interesting. It's just as hard getting glasses. I had glasses at the time. I didn't want to wear contacts. You're only allowed one. So I was wearing my glasses that I went in with, and I decided I should get some TDC glasses. We used to call them Buddy Hollies, because they were plastic.
I know what they look like.
And so I said I should probably get some of those so I don't break my nice glasses, or if I break them, I can't see because my vision's terrible. And the day they were going to take me, I was supposed to take my GED test. And so the next day, I refused care. They took me on the bus anyway. I got to the unit to get my glasses at Ellis Unit, if I remember correctly. And they're like, "Oh no, you refused care." And I was refusing care to not get on the bus because I was supposed to take my GED the next day. And it took me 6 months to get approved for my GED. So I get to the unit. They're like, "Oh, you're not getting glasses because you refused care." So they just shipped me back.
God, talk about the boys on the bus. You were on the bus.
I did a surprising amount of traveling when I was with TDC.
To no destinations.
To no destinations. But, I can remember another time where I had some type of upper respiratory issue. I was very sick. I know I had a high fever, and I started to sneeze and cough blood. And I don't think it was from organ failure. I think I was coughing and sneezing so much I was irritated.
Yeah.
But it's coming out, and I'm 20 years old. I'd never coughed up blood before.
Right.
And so I'm in my cell because we were on lockdown due to a riot, which is where, there's completely restricted movement. And so I hit the button in my cell, and I'm like, "Hey, I need to go see medical. I am sick. I need something." And they're like, "Sorry, we're on lockdown, limited movement. No." And I'm like, "I don't think you understand. I'm coughing blood. I need to see somebody." I didn't. 3 days later, I started to feel better. We were on lockdown, so I didn't have to go to work. But I sat there with a high fever for 3 days. I was covered. I didn't eat anything. I mean, it was sick. At that moment, the sickest I'd ever been in my life, and no care whatsoever. No, I mean, for all I know, I could have laid up in there with 105 fever and died. You know what I mean? It was just that. That's what I mean when I say when you first get there is the most caring you'll ever feel about medical. The rest of it, they just don't care.
Did you ever make it to UTMB for anything?
No, nothing at all.
You got to Huntsville.
I would honestly, coming to Galveston would have been great considering all the other places I visited while I was in TDC, but no, never made it to UTMB. Never got anything more than probably a Band-Aid, in 3 years, with the exception of I did get really, really sick once, and they wanted me to go to work, and I was like, "I can't go to work. I'm
Work
sick."
being
Out in the fields.
okay.
And so they took me in. They did give me antibiotics. I was pretty sick that day. And then I asked for a cancer screening at 20 because I read an article that a bunch of the men are susceptible to certain kind of cancer.
Right.
And I was like, "Hey, can I get a cancer screening?" It took 3 months, but I got a cancer screening.
Okay.
Short of that, in 3 years, I didn't really see a doctor for anything. And I didn't get staph, but I got a boil on my arm once that I treated with boiling water. And I'm sure that killed all kinds of skin cells, but I just stuck boiling water on it, and that seemed to make it go away. That was the common way to avoid staph in TDC, is pour boiling water on it.
Because there's no medical action available.
Not until because eventually if you come down with actual staph, they will segregate you because they don't want it going to someone.
Nature.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so, but I mean, I would see guys that were getting segregated. They wouldn't get segregated till it was, a big open boil on the side of their face that could kill them at any point. You know what I mean? Then, we should probably take you to over here away from people. But yeah, I don't want to call it non-existent. It's real, but it's not any kind of good.
Does each facility have nominal medical officers on available?
There's a doctor, supposed to be a doctor 24 hours a day. Or no, let me clarify. There is a main doctor, then you have nurse practitioners. There's
Right.
supposed to be somebody all day, 24 hours a day with a nurse. I never saw, I mean, like I said, that was the most interaction I had the entire time. So I don't know that that was accurate. But
Well, you mentioned that you pushed the button or whatever it was. Does every cell have a direct communication button?
at the Torres unit, we did,
Is that
because you're in a blocked off cell that from the Sally port, they can't see you. So if you need something while you're inside the cell where you're locked in there, you hit the button, they can, they can talk to you. We were on lockdown for like 2 weeks before I started to get sick. And I mean, like I said, that was the sickest I'd ever been. Once the blood started coming out, I was like, man, I need to get seen. And the fact that I could tell an officer that I was coughing blood, and they told me we're on restricted movement due to lockdown, is one of the most insane things. Because there are certain moments in prison where you feel like there's like, man, there's no hope. Like
I'm going to die here.
I might die here. Like
I might die here today.
Yeah, and I spent 3 days in that cell. The worst part is I had a cellie. Thankfully, he didn't end up with whatever I ended up with. But
Selling me your roommate.
yeah,
if you would.
God forbid I had pneumonia or something. We could have both just laid in there and died. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because they're not coming in to make sure you wake up and you're in count. They're just counting the people in the bunks. You know what I mean? And so
You could be a dead man.
yeah, we could have both, and unlikely. I know it's an extreme situation, but I mean, we could have both come down with pneumonia and just passed away in the night, and nobody would have known for days. And that's the reality of the medical system in TDC. It's just, it didn't. It sounds good, and you really think people are like, oh, that's why it gets so bothersome when people who don't know are like, oh, they're just getting free health care and free,
Oh yeah, that people say, well, what,
three hots and a cot, that kind of stuff. That's not real, because we weren't getting that. We were getting, yes, it was there, but that's not what you're getting. You know what I mean?
You consistently hear those kinds of stories. If somebody commits a crime, a passive crime or something of some kind, so they can go to jail for health care. You're saying that's fictitious.
At least from my standpoint, and it wasn't from what I saw, and it wasn't just me. None of the homeboys went to sick bay often, and there were a couple homeboys that got diabetes medication that from a pill window. Your medication is dispensed from a pill window. You go, they have pill times, and if you've got a pill call, you go take your pill, and then you go on about your day. But most of the people I hung out with and associated with did not have the same experience I have. They did not experience good health care.
Did they verify that you've even taken your meds when you have them?
I mean, they do a quick little open the mouth thing, but I mean, the secondary pill market is a real thing in TDC.
That was my next question, because are some of these, or I mean, do they prescribe opioids and that kind of thing for pain or
unlikely.
anything?
I didn't see very many opioid prescriptions. Thorazine was real common.
Yeah.
I saw a lot of Thorazine, blood pressure medicine for some of the older guys, but I was on a younger unit, so we didn't see it as often.
Does Thorazine show up in the secondary then at all?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I'm going to be completely honest. I took a Thorazine once just because we were bored, and realized, that it's essentially it was like a tranquilizer. I mean, I was a dead man walking.
Put you down, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they said I was drooling. I don't remember anything, and after that, I was adamantly against anything like that. You'd be amazed what you try just for fun to see what you can do just because you're that bored. But I mean, the secondary pill market, they would give you ibuprofen in a pack, and you're supposed to take it. It's got times that you take it for your, you hurt your leg or something. And man, that pack could go for $100 in commissary. You know what I mean?
Ibuprofen.
Because you can't get it. You know what I mean? Like if you suffer from allergy headaches, they're not going to give you anything for it. So you go buy this guy's ibuprofen pack, and now you can take an Advil when you have a headache. But if you get caught with it, it's a disciplinary case, and you lose privileges because it's not yours. It's a shitty system, and there's not a good. I understand logistically, there's not a good solution to it, but it doesn't change that you struggle to get any kind of health care, not even quality health care, any kind of health care in TDC.
I need to tell our viewers and listeners that Robert is a person with a consistently positive attitude and not a whiner about anything. And to hear you tell these stories, because you're very objective about the way things were.
Well,
Final statement as we wrap up this episode?
Yeah, I mean, I just keep that in mind when you talk about prisoners. When people refer to how people get treated, how they're living for free and all that stuff, it's not as simple as you think. It's not a bunch of hardcore guys in there, just constantly doing stuff that are just living the life, free medicine and free treatment and free food and all that. Man, like I said, I very easily could have caught pneumonia and died in a cell just because.
You happen to be young and healthy.
And yes, exactly. I know that 3 inmates did die on Torres while I was there, and I don't remember the specifics as to how they died.
Right.
But they died in their cells. They were found in the morning, and it happens even more now based on the things that I've read, that it's still a problem in TDC. And, it goes back to hell, we still don't have air conditionings in a lot of the prisons in TDC. So that'd be something to take away from this particular conversation, is that don't just assume that these people are living for free and living the good life. It's not a real thing. It's a struggle every day, and they are people as well. They deserve the same things that every human should have, at least access to healthcare. And it's almost impossible.
Robert Serna. Listeners, you may have had a difficult time with this, and that's okay. This is the Jim Bratton Podcast. Thank you very much. Robert, thank you.
Of course.
This has been Jim Bratton Podcast. We hope you have enjoyed, been inspired, informed, angered, or otherwise emotionally stimulated. This is your booth announcer, Sierra Sakel.